चैतन्यमनोरम्येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथामृतं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगणा ललिता श्री शाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि प्रिये पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome all of you to our Gita class. We are on chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled as Knowledge of the Absolute. This chapter is considered to be a very important chapter, and actually it is almost like a shift of gear. This chapter is the beginning of the 6 chapters of the Gita that are going to teach us Bhakti Yoga. So the first 6 chapters of the Gita are introduce us to the concept of karma. The middle 6 chapters of the Gita introduce us to the concept of bhakti. And the last 6 chapters of Gita introduce us to the concept of jnana. So the 7th chapter of the Gita is the entry into the 6 chapters that talk about bhakti. Bhagavad Gita is like a sandwich. Just like in a sandwich, there are 2 loaves of bread, and in between there is something, there is a filler. The sandwich is known by what is in the middle, isn't it? You call it as a cheese sandwich, or you can call it as a vegetable sandwich, or you can call it as a, jam, bread jam, whatever you can call it. But what is in between is the most important thing. Have you ever heard of someone saying bread sandwich? Obviously, bread is going to be there if there is sandwich. But what is in between is the most important part of the sandwich. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita is like a sandwich where karma and jnana are on 2 sides, and bhakti is the middle. And that's the 6 chapters of what which define bhakti and which help us understand bhakti are what we're going to be discussing and studying going forward. So, for many things in your life, whether it is your next holiday destination, or whether it is the choice of the university that you want to study from, or if it is a restaurant that you want to choose for a birthday party, for almost everything in life, we do some research, isn't it? Because you go into a holiday destination and you need good food, and you're a vegetarian. You start looking for vegetarian restaurants. You do some kind of research, isn't it? So while we may value our gut feelings, we simultaneously use our intelligence and exercise discrimination. The same goes for spirituality. It is not a sentimental impulse or a sentimental practice. It requires intelligent research, and it requires a lot of information gathering. Spirituality is an affair of the heart and the head. Einstein once stated that religion without philosophy is simply sentiment. And in more acute situations, it is downright fanatism. In this chapter entitled Knowledge of the Absolute, Krishna describes certain philosophical truths to instill confidence and conviction in the process of Bhakti Yoga. So, this chapter, the seventh chapter of the Gita, is going to help us think a little bit. So, as I said, for a lot of things in our lives, we don't just do it out of impulse, but we use our head, we use our intelligence. Like say, for example, if you want to choose a holiday destination, you don't just go on impulse. You do a lot of thinking, and whether it is for careers, the choice of restaurants, the head plays a very big role. So this chapter is entitled, or rather the acronym of this chapter is HEAD, HEAD, because this chapter is going to inspire us to look at the path of bhakti using our head. Knowledge is developed by hearing. Doubt is compared to darkness. Because of darkness, there is fear. And when there is fear, there cannot be peace. Why is it that people are afraid to be out all night? Because they don't know what is before them, what is behind them, what is around them. It's dark. And because it's dark, it's fearful. Because of its darkness, we are in a complete state of doubt. Where are we going? Where are we coming from? Darkness and doubts are synonymous to each other, and light and knowledge are synonymous to each other. Light means to know, to see, to understand. Prabhupada used to always say that an acharya, the word acharya, is one who knows what is what, one who knows the truth, and one who is in light. And knowledge creates faith. And where there is faith, there cannot be distress, there cannot be unhappiness. Even in the most terrible circumstances of your life, if you have faith, you can overcome all kinds of challenges, and you will be able to do so with a grateful and ecstatic heart. So, here, Brahma created a world which is essentially dark. So the entire universe, the world in which we live, is essentially dark. Everything in this planet that we are living is essentially dark. If it wasn't for the sun, an outside force, we would be in total darkness. Isn't it? So if the sun wasn't there, we would be in total darkness all the time. But the fact that the sun is there, our bodies inside, if you look at our own systems and our own body, our body only emits darkness. The earth itself emits darkness. When the sun goes down, there's darkness everywhere. So Brahma created this world just like a prison house to reform all of us. But our greatest gift, the greatest gift that we have, the greatest gift that Krishna has given us is the Vedas. Vedas means knowledge. And that is the power from which we can come out from darkness and enter into light. The Asuras, they hate light. They cannot tolerate knowledge. They love fear, and they want to keep everyone in fear. So why they want to keep everyone in fear? So that they can control them completely. And that is exactly how Hiranyakashipu, Ravan, and all these powerful Asuras control the world, by keeping people in darkness. So this particular chapter is acronymed as HEAD. The first part of this chapter is called hearing. The word hearing essentially means the ability to hear And this is specifically talking about hearing knowledge. There is something known as Aroha Pantha. So, what is the meaning of the word Aroha Pantha? Aroha Pantha means where we try to gain knowledge based on our effort. So, there are actually two ways of gaining knowledge. The first is known as Aroha Pantha. Aroha Pantha means I want to gain knowledge based on my effort. Like, say, for example, has anyone seen Gandhiji? You know, so if you look at, if you ask anyone sitting in this particular forum, if I ask any of you all, have you seen Gandhi? Now, obviously, everybody will say we see him every day on the currency note of India. And whoever has Indian currency notes in their pockets, they see Gandhiji every day. But that's not seeing Gandhi, isn't it? That's seeing probably a painting or a picture of Gandhi. But it's not exactly, seeing him visually. A lot of times, when we gain knowledge based on only perception of our senses, it is a very limited knowledge that we gain. Our brain has limitations. And because our brain has limitations, it has limited ability to process the knowledge. Like, for example, if you eat some sweets and then you drink a glass of lemonade, the lemonade will not taste. It will actually taste strange. It will not be able to give the taste that it actually has because our brain gets confused. Our brain has limitations in being able to process that knowledge. Aroha Pantha means getting knowledge based on the head, getting knowledge based on our ability and strengths. But the second type of knowledge is known as Avaroha Pantha. The word Avaroha Pantha means that hearing from an authority who is perfect and expert in that field. When you gain knowledge from someone who's an authority in a particular field, that knowledge is deep. That knowledge is absolutely deep. And therefore, when we want to gain knowledge about God, when we want to gain knowledge about the Supreme Lord, who is the most qualified person to give us the knowledge about God other than God himself? And therefore, Krishna, in this chapter of the Gita, he is going to introduce us to himself. He is going to introduce us to the concept of who God is. He is going to introduce us to the concept of connecting with God through the process of bhakti. And therefore, Avaroha Pantha means the ascending, so the descending path. Aroha Pantha means the ascending path. Ascending path is a path where you put an effort and go and find God. You are very, very low in the ladder, and you put an effort to climb up and reach where God is and find answers or find detailed understanding of God. But Avaroha Pantha is a second method. It is called the descending path. Avaroha Pantha means I'm small. I'm insignificant. God is huge. But when that particular God comes down to our level and gives us knowledge, that is called Avaroha Pantha. So God doesn't have to himself come. He gives knowledge through the parampara, through what is known as a disciplic succession, through a line of teachers. So when you hear knowledge from a great authority, when you gain knowledge from a great teacher who is in a bona fide parampara, that knowledge is considered to be perfect knowledge. It is known as the descending path. So the Gita talks to us about the importance of hearing. So when you hear lectures, when you hear a class, so in Sanskrit, there is a terminology called Tat Shrunu. Shrunu means hearing. So there are different classes of hearing or different types of hearing. The first class of hearing is when you hear once and you perfectly learn what that person is trying to say, and you perfectly understand it, apply it in your life. Like, say, for example, you hear once that human life is rare, human life is short. You hear it once, and you actually believe it so strongly. You actually are convinced about it that you actually take life seriously and you take your spiritual life seriously. There are many people who hear, but they don't really understand. So they feel that by hearing, I won't believe it. I want to see someone actually live short life. Or we hear intoxication is bad. You hear it once and that's it. Never ever take intoxication in your life. But the second class of people that say, no, no, I don't believe intoxication is bad. Let me observe those who are taking intoxication. And then they go and do a lot of case studies and research on people who have taken intoxication and see what they are going through in their lives. And I remember in my school days, they had shown us a video. And I mean, I probably saw that video when I was in 8th or 9th standard. And this is like decades back, but it's still in my mind. And I remember it was a video about a guy named Manas. And this person, young boy, how he got into drug addiction and how everything in his life got completely messed up and spoiled because of that one intoxication, that the habit that he got into. It's intensely entrenched in the mind. So no question that you will get into any of these habits. So first is hearing. When you hear from someone of who is of authority, tells you, and you get convinced about it. Second type of people, sometimes they don't get convinced by hearing. They need to see. They need to observe it themselves. And when they see someone suffering, they say, no, I will not do it anymore. Third class of people, they feel that they don't understand by hearing. They don't even understand by observing. They need to experience it themselves. Only when they suffer, then they understand, yes, intoxication is bad for health. But then there's a fourth class of people who don't understand by hearing, don't understand by observing, don't even understand by experience. They never learn. They think that maybe I need to do something else to protect myself. So they keep doing strange and different things to somehow or the other try to think of different ways in which they can overcome the situation. And therefore, these are the two ways of acquiring knowledge. One is known as Aroha Panta, which is the ascending path of knowledge through sensory perception. And the second is known as Avaroha Panta, which is the descending path of knowledge through hearing. And we spoke about the four classes of people based on how they learn. Some people learn by hearing once. Some people don't learn by hearing. They need to observe. And some people don't even learn by observing. They need to experience it themselves. And then the fourth class of people never learn. So we learn based on hearing and faith. It goes deeper by observing and experience. So that means observing and experience is fine, but the first is you hear, and that becomes the basis of knowledge that you get. So the scriptures talk about something very interesting. It's known as the 4 levels of knowledge. What is knowledge? If somebody asks you, what is knowledge? So here, I'm going to give you a very interesting definition of what knowledge is. Now, this definition will be very different from what you have heard in your schools and colleges and the education system that you have been a part of. This is a spiritual understanding of what knowledge is. So if somebody says, I am knowledgeable, or if you want to tell some, understand who is a knowledgeable person, simply you have to ask, have you done MSc? Now, I'm not talking about the degree. I'm not talking about the degree of Master in Science. But this MSc is what real knowledge is. If somebody says, I have knowledge, What does it mean? He has to have knowledge of MSC. M stands for matter, S stands for spirit, and C stands for controller of both. So if someone says, I have knowledge, that person has to have knowledge of all the three aspects. Everything in this world is a combination of matter. Laptops, cars, homes, garments, bodies are all made up of matter. Just the way things are combined makes them very attractive. You combine, rava and urad dal and mirchi, rai, hing, salt, combine it nicely together, it becomes upma. You combine some other ingredients together, it becomes khichdi. You combine some other ingredients together, it becomes ice cream, So if you just combine ingredients together, it becomes very attractive in their forms. That is how matter exists. And that is what matter is. Why are people so mad about iPads and iPods and iPhones and Apple laptops? It's simply because they're mad about matter. A matter is simply a combination of material ingredients. A lot of people, all they have is knowledge of matter. But that's not a complete knowledge. Deeper than knowledge of matter is the knowledge of spirit. The fact of the matter is that matter doesn't matter unless there is spirit soul in it. Unless there is a spirit soul in it, matter hardly matters. The combination of all elements like upma, which we spoke about, but the person mixing all the ingredients of upma, that person, unless he is there, how will all the ingredients combine? If you have all the ingredients on a shelf, will it ever become upma? Impossible. So spirit makes everything happen. No one is attracted to a dead body or a doll. Therefore, unless and until there is spirit, matter is useless. And no matter how much knowledge you have of matter, unless you understand, unless you gain knowledge about spirit, you will not have complete knowledge. And it's not enough to only understand matter and spirit. You need the third, the controller of both. Neither matter nor spirit is in control. It is God who is in control. In fact, if we are aware of this reality, we become relaxed. I mean, if you just think about it a little bit, there is so much fascination in this world. You just inspect a very small thing like a banana. Banana is one of the most fascinating creations of God. One banana has exactly the quantity of ingredients one human being needs to feel energetic. Every banana that you eat, which is God made, not artificially injected and tampered, every single God made banana in this universe is perfect in its taste. Perfect quantity of sugar, perfect, size, perfect shape, very, very healthy, very, very nutritious, packaged in very simple, easy to carry format. And one human being, the quantity of banana that he needs, it is fitted in the right proportion in that. How much knowledge and how much intelligence it is required to make one banana? And who does it? It's controller, isn't it? Somebody may have a lot of knowledge about matter, and still, how will you ever figure out, how perfect a banana is? So essentially, the combination of these three, matter, spirit, and controller, together forms complete knowledge. So the first level of knowledge is knowledge of MSC, matter, spirit, and controller of both. So if somebody has MSC, that means that person is knowledgeable. But that's only the first level of knowledge. There's a second level of knowledge. The second level of knowledge is known as understanding the three features of God. God has three features. These are called the three features of the absolute truth. So when you see an object from far, and when you see an object from close, and you see an object from very close, you tend to look at the same object with more lenses, isn't it? Like, for example, let's say a villager comes from a village to a city, and for the first time in his or her life, he sees, or rather, he comes to know that there's a train that exists. He's very excited to find out what a train looks like. So someone takes him to a railway station, and from far, the train is coming towards him, and the train is making loud sound, and the train has heavy lights. This man immediately concludes. He says, I know what a train is. Train means light and it makes sound. The man said, hey, that's not what a train is. Just wait a bit. You will know what a train actually is. He waited a little bit, and the train came closer, and he could make out that behind the light is an engine. And behind that engine, there are many more boxes. And he said, now I know what a train is. Train is a light which comes from an engine, and the engine has many boxes connected to it. The fellow said, hey, wait a minute. There is more to it. Just wait a little bit, you will know what a train is. And then the train comes closer. And then this man sees there are not only a light and engine and boxes, but there are people inside the train who are traveling in the train. And that's when this person understands the train completely. So the same train has multiple layers of understanding. The same train has multiple layers of understanding deeper aspects of what a train is. Similarly, if you want to understand who God is, there are three levels of God, or rather we're calling this three features of God. It is called Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. What is the meaning of this? It says that if you want to understand God, you need to understand God in three features. The first feature of God is known as Brahman. Brahman refers to the light emanating from God. Just like in this world, the sun emanates light. But where does the sun get its light from? It is explained that the sun gets its light from the Supreme Lord. The effulgence that emanates from the body of the Lord is known as Brahma Jyoti. That aspect of God is known as Brahman. That is the impersonal aspect of God. That is the light aspect of God. And that is the lowest aspect of God. Higher than that is known as Paramatma. The same God who is visible to us as light, Brahman, is actually also available to us as Paramatma. That means each and every person in this universe, every entity in the universe has a personal God within our hearts, who is known as Paramatma. This is a feature of God. And this feature of God is very, very important because it is more personal than Brahman. You can't talk with Brahman. You can't interact with Brahman. You can't connect with Brahman. Because that aspect of God is a very impersonal aspect of God. But Paramatma is something that is closer to our hearts. It is much deeper. And that aspect of God is very powerful. So Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. The third aspect of God is known as Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the complete understanding of God. So when someone only understands the Brahman aspect of God, he understands God very partially. But when somebody understands the Brahman and the Paramatma aspect of God, he understands God more better. And when he understands not just Brahman, but Paramatma and Bhagavan, that's when he completely understands God. And that's the complete understanding of God, known as Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. So these are the two levels of knowledge. The first level of knowledge is MSC, understanding of matter, spirit, and controller. The second level of knowledge is understanding the three aspects of God, or the three features of God. The third level of understanding God is understanding that God is great, but God is also sweet. So just like someone who has a big organization, when you see that person in office or in his official position, he is very, very strict. He is very, very focused, and he is almost inaccessible. But the same person at home is very accessible. The same person at home is very, very casual and very cool in the way his dealings are. Just like someone may be a prime minister, very well dressed when he goes to office, when he goes to address different rallies and all that. The same minister at home, he'll be wearing a chaddi and banyan, and his grandson might be riding his back and making him like a horse. So now, if someone looks at the prime minister at home and he looks at him dressed so badly, and he's almost like a servant to his grandson, they will say, "What is this?" But that's how he is. That's the most personal aspect of him. So there is a greatness to the prime minister, but there's also a sweetness to the prime minister. The greatness is what the world sees, but the sweetness is what his family sees. Similarly, God is great, but God is also sweet. Um, higher knowledge than greatness is sweetness. There is Siddhanta and there is Rasa. Siddhanta means the man is powerful, and Rasa is that the man is sweet. Like, say, for example, one man, he was yawning very loudly in an event, and somebody asked him, you didn't open your mouth at all except for the yawn. He said that is the only time a married man is allowed to open his mouth. So he may be great in the office, but when he's at home, he is different. He has a different rasa, different way of living his life, different way of functioning. So the Siddhanta makes a person great. God, if you look at the Siddhanta from the scriptural point of view, God is fascinatingly great. But if you go to Vrindavan and you talk to the boys of Vrindavan, the cowherd boys, the gopis, the elder gopas, you ask them, how is God? How is Krishna? Somebody will say he is naughty, somebody will say he is stupid, somebody will say I am more stronger than him, somebody will say I know more than him. Now, apparently, you might think that what is this? How can these people speak like that about God? They don't care that he's God, because they are focused on their love for him as an individual. They're focused on their love for him from the sweetness point of view. So, if you look at the most powerful people in this world, they definitely have a great side, but actually what makes them really powerful is that they have a sweet side. So God is great, but more important than his greatness is his sweetness. This is the third level of knowledge about God. So when you know about God's greatness, that's when you're seeing the creation. You're seeing God's ability to create things, maintain things, destroy things. That is the greatness of God. When you see God's ability to connect with people in a very loving way, that's the sweet aspect of God. So this is the third level of knowledge. The first level of knowledge is MSC, knowledge of matter, spirit of controller. The second level of knowledge is knowledge of the three aspects of God, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And the third feature or the third level of knowledge about God is the knowledge of his greatness and his sweetness. And then, so when you look at Krishna's pastimes and with all his friends and with his father, and it's so sweet. So this is the third level of understanding of knowledge. The fourth level of understanding of knowledge is known as Jnana and Vijnana. Jnana means theoretical knowledge, and Vijnana means realization of that knowledge. So when we say that we have knowledge, what does it mean? It means that you need to have knowledge not only theoretically, but you also need to have knowledge practically. You need to have knowledge not only from the theory point of view, but the realization of that theory. That's when you have complete knowledge. So Krishna has to be realized. We need to make a relationship with Krishna. So application of that knowledge is very important. And therefore, Shravanam means hearing. Mananam means contemplation. And Nididhyasana means application. So such a person who realizes God, not just theoretically, but practically, such a person has the deepest understanding of God. It's called Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. And here, this particular section of the 7th chapter of the Gita talks about such realization. Krishna in the 7th chapter, the 3rd verse of the 7th chapter, he speaks a very important verse. He says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mam veti tattvataha. He says, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And out of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So I'll repeat this, the words. It's Krishna is saying, Manushyanam sahasreshu. Manushyanam sahasreshu means, Manushyanam is obviously human beings. Sahasreshu means out of thousands of human beings, kaschid yatati siddhaye. One may endeavor for perfection. Siddhaye means perfection. So out of thousands of human beings, one may try to achieve perfection. Yatatam api siddhyanam. And out of those who have achieved perfection, kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Is out of so many who have achieved perfection, only one knows me in truth. So in this chapter, Krishna is disclosing the topmost secret. In the last shloka of the previous chapter, Krishna talks about the topmost yoga system. And Krishna is telling that the path of yoga is easy, but only a few take to that path. So in the previous verse, the previous chapter, the 6th chapter, he says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgater antaratmanam. He says, so he's essentially talking about the topmost yoga system, which is Bhakti Yoga. So he's telling everyone, please take the topmost yoga, which is madgater antaratmanam, constantly remembering me and practicing devotion. Here in this chapter, Krishna is saying, the path of Bhakti Yoga is easy. Though it is easy, only very few take to this path. There are several thousands of jivas in this planet. And there are so many yonis, there's so many species of different jivas in this planet. As many number of atoms, that many number of living entities are there. There are those jivas that are stationary in nature, like trees. And then there are human beings. Out of millions of jivas, only very few get the human form of life. It is so rare. Most of the human beings are engrossed in sense gratification. Out of the remaining, only a few tread on the path of religion. They are involved in dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Amongst this category also, only a few want to achieve only moksha, and they work towards it. And therefore, Krishna is saying, Manushyanam sahasreshu. Out of several such seekers, only few take to the path of bhakti. Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma koti swapi mahamune. Krishna saying, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is saying, O great sage, among millions who are liberated and perfect in the knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayan or Krishna. Such devotees who are peaceful are extremely rare. So essentially, Muktana api siddhanam, Narayana parayana, Sudurlabha prashantatma, Koti swapi mahamuni. Out of 40 crores and crores of people, millions of people, there is Sudurlabha prashanta. Very, very rare are those prashantatmas. And who are those? Narayana parayana. That means they are devotees of Lord Krishna, Lord Narayana. So if a jiva wants to attain Brahma Jyoti, he has to follow the path of Jnana Yoga. If a jiva wants to attain sense gratification, he can do Karma Kanda. If a jiva wants to attain siddhis, he follows the path of Ashtanga Yoga. But if a jiva wants to attain Krishna, he follows the path of Bhakti Yoga. By following the path of Bhakti Yoga, one will have what is known as Bhagavad Sakshatkar. That means you will realize God in your life. But hardly 1% does it. Kaschid yatati siddhayo. Very, very rare. So if you actually look at the rarity of the path of bhakti, Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. Tato mam tattvato gyatva. He says, one can understand me as I am, as a supreme personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And Krishna tells Durvas Muni, Aham Bhakta Paradhino. That means I am totally controlled by my devotees. Only a Bhakta can understand Krishna. Only a Bhakta can control Krishna. And therefore, the Damodar Leela, which is one of the most celebrated pastimes of Krishna, just talks about this aspect. Mother Yashoda once was churning butter and she was trying to make some butter for Krishna. And Krishna, he woke up. This is early in the morning. And Krishna comes to Mother Yashoda and says, I want to drink milk. And Mother Yashoda is feeding Krishna milk. And while she is feeding Krishna milk, suddenly the milk on the stove boils over. And Mother Yashoda puts down Krishna and runs towards the stove to put off that milk, to save that milk. And in the meanwhile, Krishna gets very upset and he breaks the pot of butter that Yashoda was churning. And he runs away from there. And finally, Mother Yashoda runs behind him, chases him, and catches him after a long run. And then she ties him up. And of course, it's not easy to tie up Krishna. It takes so much effort. Mother Yashoda is trying to tie Krishna for hours and hours and hours. But the more ropes she uses, the ropes fall short by 2 fingers. No matter how many ropes she adds, it's always 2 fingers short. And finally, when Krishna sees Mother Yashoda is sweating and struggling so badly, Krishna says, let me be tied by my mother. And he allows himself to be tied. The Acharyas explain that this is what Krishna represents. He represents the combination of the 2 fingers. 1 finger represents your effort. To find God, to attain God, you need to put efforts. A lot of people think that, I will do whatever I want to do all my life. And then last minute, I'll reach back to God. A lot of people, after they die, these relatives put Swargavasi, Vaikuntavasi, in their obituary section. You think it is so easy to attain perfection of life? You think anybody who dies will reach the spiritual world just like that without putting an effort? I mean, there are gundas, there are people who are, cheaters, they are looters. They've done all the biggest crimes in the world. And yet, people have the audacity to write after their death that this fellow has reached the heavens, reached the spiritual world. How stupid is that? That's not how it works, isn't it? And here Krishna is saying it is very, very rare. And the only thing, the only way you can actually control Krishna is if you become his devotees. Mother Yashoda was able to tie up Krishna. The yogis are trying to find Krishna. And in spite of trying for an entire lifetime, hundreds of years, they are not able to find Krishna. But here is a simple lady. She has not done any yoga. She has not, joined any Vipassana camps and all that. She has not done a study of scriptures. She has absolutely zero understanding of Sanskrit. So Mother Yashoda is a simple household lady. The only thing she knows is to cook. The only thing she knows is to make garlands and to churn butter. That's all she knows. But yet, Mother Yashoda was able to tie up Krishna. Something that the most powerful gods in the universe, something that the most powerful demons in the universe, something that the most powerful yogis in the universe are not able to do, one simple lady, with devotion in her heart, was able to do. That is why bhakti is one of the most powerful things in this world, though it is also one of the rarest things in this world. So if we simply take on to the path of bhakti seriously, if you simply take on to the path of devotion very seriously, then you will attain perfection. Some of the rarest things in this world are also some of the costliest things in this world. Diamonds are so rare, isn't it? But though it is so rare, how many people can afford it? Not everyone can afford it, isn't it? You have to market it like anything. And then somehow one person in thousands and millions can afford a diamond. Similarly, the path of bhakti is like a diamond. Not easy to attain. Very, very rare to attain. And therefore, only very rare special souls get the opportunity for perfection of their lives. You might say that the moment you walk into the Hare Krishna movement, you get to speak, you get to hear about bhakti. The moment you come to a Hare Krishna class, the first class only you hear about bhakti, and you're saying it is so rare. Yes, I'm still saying it is rare. You know why? Because though I scream at the top of my voice, though I have been screaming for the last so many years, like months and years, how many actually are practicing bhakti seriously? If I count, probably I can count on my fingers how many are seriously practicing bhakti. That's why it is rare. It is very rare for conditioned souls to take the path of bhakti seriously. And of those who take the path of bhakti seriously also, very few will perfect it. And very, very few will actually attain the spiritual world. It's just like those who are able to afford diamonds. Everyone wants it, but who can afford it? You have to pay a price, isn't it? If you ask anyone who wants diamond, everybody will put up their hand. But the question is, are you ready to pay the price? Then everybody's hands will go down. Similarly, path of bhakti, everybody knows it is perfect and it is most amazing and most important. Are you ready to pay the price? Everybody's hand goes down. People say, yeah, little bit here, little bit there. How much can I prioritize it? Though it is so easily available, it is so rare to actually put it to practice. And therefore, those who are able to do that, Krishna really glorifies them. He says, Sudurlabham. He actually glorifies them and appreciates the devotion with which Manushyana Sahasreshu Kaschid Yatate Siddhaye Yatatam Api Siddhyanam Kaschid mam veti tattvataha. Out of thousands, many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. Out of those who achieve perfection, only one knows me in truth. And therefore, if we really want to achieve perfection of our lives, and if we really want to be among those rare souls whom Krishna is talking about in the pages of the Gita, then we need to take the path of bhakti very seriously in our lives. Hear carefully, practice what you hear, and try to achieve perfection in what you practice. And that is when we will fall in that category of people who are very rare souls. And by the way, even if 50 people in this forum that that are probably attending out of the 100 people that may hear a class like this, even if 5 or 10 actually take up seriously bhakti and seriously practice their spiritual lives, those 10 are still rare among millions and millions who are not practicing it, isn't it? So therefore, let us, Krishna is giving us an open invitation. Krishna is openly trying to invite us, encourage us, tell us, come into this rare path, come into this rare fold of those who want to perfect their lives. The path is laid in front of you. The path is clear, and the path is very well tread by the great acharyas. Srila Prabhupada and all the great devotees in the ISKCON movement are showing us the path of bhakti very systematically and very making it very easy for us, making it very accessible for us. What we need to do is simply walk on that path. And if we walk on that path, we will attain perfection one day. So this chapter, the 7th chapter of the Gita, it begins by talking about the 4 levels of knowledge. We spoke about what are the 4 levels. We said the first level is MSC, the understanding of matter, spirit, and controller of both. The second level of knowledge is the 3 features, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Third level of knowledge is understanding that God is great, but God is also sweet. The sweetness is the different relationships that God has with his devotees. They're called the 5 rasas. There is Shantaras, the love that Krishna has for the non-moving entities like trees and stones, etc. They also have a relationship with Krishna. Then there is Dasyaras, the relationship that Krishna has with those who think they are his servants, like Hanumanji and so many others. And then there is Sakhyaras. These are devotees who think they are in love with Krishna through friendship. So many of the Gopas and friends like Arjun, etc., they fall under the Sakhyaras. And then there is Vatsalyaras, which is affection of parents. Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, Devaki, Vasudev, all of them have Vatsalya Ras with Krishna. And finally, there is Madhurya Ras, the love of the gopis with Krishna, and the love of the queens of Dwarka with Krishna, that falls in the Madhurya category. So there is the greatness of God and the sweetness of God. This is the third level of knowledge. And then we spoke about Jnana and Vijnana. Jnana means knowledge, which is theoretical, and Vijnana means realization of the knowledge, which is practical. So these 4 comprise the 4 levels of knowledge. And then we spoke about how it is so rare to perfect your life. So Krishna, in this chapter of the Gita, it says, Manushyanam sahasretu kaschid yatra siddhe siddhya etatam api siddhyanam kaschid mamedi tattvadah. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows Krishna in truth. And let us all try to aspire to be in that one category, among the rarest of rare people who are trying to understand and perfect their lives and realize God in this very life itself. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Before we get into question answers, just wanted to make one small announcement. This month, 24th of February, I'm having a launch of one of my latest books. It is called as Ancient Wisdom to Elevate the Mind. I'll just quickly show you all the book. Just give me a second. This is my, 1 second, I'm just taking out the blur. Yeah, this is my latest book. It's called Ancient Wisdom to Elevate the Mind. So I'm having a launch of this book in Mumbai, in Crossword at Kemp's Corner in Mumbai. So if any of you all are from Bombay and would like to join in for this launch of this book, you're most welcome. We're going to have a few Bollywood celebrities coming for the event, and they are all my very close friends and very, very close-knit family of my spiritual community going to come in. So I would like to invite all of you all who are from Mumbai to please mark your calendars. 24th of February, it is at Crosswords in Kemp's Corner. And for those who are not able to make it, you are most welcome to get a copy of this book online. It should be available on Amazon. You'll find it on Kindle also. And you could get this book and read. This book has 50 stories from Indian scriptures, and each of these stories have beautiful lessons for life that you would love to read and contemplate on. And also, it is a book that you would love to share with so many people. Even if they have no interest in spirituality, it will still appeal to them. Okay, so I thought I'll just make that announcement very quickly. If anybody has any questions or comments at this point, we can take up before we close. Any questions? Also, just one more announcement. I have previously done a course on the Hanuman Chalisa, and that course was very, very highly appreciated by so many people who attended it. I'm doing that course once again in March, and this time it's going to happen on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday for 5 months, the Hanuman Chalisa course will happen. So if any of you all would like to come and join the course, if you have not done it at all, you're most welcome. It is very highly recommended for you all to do it. But for those who also want to invite your friends and family, it's a great course to be a part of, and it's one of my best courses. It's a 21-week course on Hanuman Chalisa that we will start from, I think, 15th of March, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll send the posters out soon, so you can register for that course also. Okay. Yes, anyone who wants to repeat the course can also rejoin the course. You're most welcome. It's going to be beautiful again. Unfortunately, again, it will be in English. I'll do a course in Hindi eventually, not now, but right now it will be in English. Okay. Any questions or comments, please? Sunita ji, yes.
I just wanted to ask you, you said the 5 rasas. The first one, I didn't catch the name. What was the name of the first?
It's called Shantaras.
Shantaras.
Shanta, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Rakhi.
Hare Krishna. You were speaking about the knowledge, like greatness versus sweetness. And you said Siddhanta versus the rasa. So Siddhanta, I didn't understand that. Like you're saying Siddhanta.
Siddhanta means philosophy.
Basically means the philosophy.
Yeah, Siddhanta means philosophy. So philosophy teaches you about God's greatness. Rasa helps you develop love for God.
So basically, you're saying that Siddhanta is like it guides you in that direction, but actually experiencing it is what makes it great.
Yeah. So Siddhanta gives you an understanding that God is great, but Rasa gives you the feeling that God is sweet.
I get it. Thank you.
Dr. Advait is asking, why is it difficult to attain Krishna even if he is everywhere? Does it require any special changes in life of a budding devotee? So basically, the reason it is difficult to attain Krishna, first, is it requires sincerity, seriousness, and no ulterior motives. A lot of us, we want to perfect our spiritual lives, but the sincerity that it requires in terms of commitment, in terms of energy, time, effort, that people are not ready to put in. And therefore, because of that lack of sincerity and the lack of seriousness in the process, and of course, a lot of people do it with ulterior motives. Somebody might practice bhakti thinking that it might make me rich. Somebody might practice bhakti thinking that, If I practice bhakti, then I will not fall in trouble. Things will go smooth in my life and things like that. These are all ulterior motives, isn't it? So if you're not sincere, and if you're not serious, and if you have ulterior motives, you won't perfect your life. You may practice bhakti, but you will not perfect your life. But when someone practices bhakti with sincerity, with seriousness, and without ulterior motives, that person will perfect his life. And that's not easy. That's why it is, that's why it is difficult. Yes, Ashu.
I missed one point. You said Gita is divided in three parts. First six talk about karma, and second six bhakti. But were last six
Jnana.
what they teach about Gyan? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other questions? And of course, I just want to add to the point that though bhakti seems to be difficult in terms of attaining perfection, but it's not impossible. The simplest of simple people in this world have easily attained bhakti. The complicated people are the ones who struggle. So the more simple we are, it's so much easier to attain perfection in your life. So what Krishna really wants from us, to keep your intelligence and keep your talents and keep your greatness aside, and come with a childlike heart. And when you come with a childlike heart to Krishna, Krishna will love you, and Krishna will help you much, much quicker than when you come with all your brains and all your intelligence and all your experience and all your baggage of identities that we end up coming with. Okay. So I highly, highly urge all of y'all to spend at least half an hour a day practicing your spiritual life seriously, sincerely, and with no ulterior motives. At least, I mean, we have 24 hours a day. For it is, I mean, if someone says, I can't take out half an hour a day, it simply means either that you have no desire or you're very bad at planning. There could be no other reason why you're not able to take out half an hour for practicing your spiritual life seriously. And if someone is able to, if you're really sincere about your spiritual path, you're very sincere about, very serious about your spiritual path, and you really want to perfect your lives, you must start with at least half an hour minimum every single day, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra specifically to begin with, and that will be the single point which will transform your lives completely. Mark my words, and please take these words seriously. It will powerfully transform your lives. And if anyone who is struggling with chanting, if you're having difficulty in chanting, if you're not able to understand how to chant, please contact us, and I will personally guide you all in the process of chanting holy names of the Lord. And I would highly, highly recommend you all to spend every single day some amount of time practicing spiritual life seriously. Okay. Thank you very much, and all the very best for your journeys. And I'm always there on the side, guiding you and showing you the path. But ultimately, you have to walk on your own. I can't do that for you. But at least I can recommend you, and I can try to push you a little bit towards that direction. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.